"Watch your mouth." That was what the guest meant to say. But before the insult could land, a tired waitress spoke one sentence, in a Korean dialect so old and exact that the entire room froze in place, and the Korean Mafia boss's father stopped breathing for a moment. The insult was already forming on the guest's lips when the waitress spoke. Her voice cut through the room, calm and steady, carrying words that did not belong to a place like this. Not in this city, not in this hall, not from someone wearing an apron and worn shoes. The moment the sound reached the old man's ears, time slowed. The Korean Mafia boss's father stopped walking. His cane hovered just above the floor. His eyes widened, not with anger, but with something far more dangerous. Recognition. Around him, the banquet hall stood perfectly dressed for power. Long tables draped in white cloth, crystal lights overhead, plates untouched because no one dared eat before the right signal. Men in dark suits sat with straight backs. Women smiled carefully, trained to hide nerves behind grace. Fear lived here, but it was quiet. The old man stood at the center of it all. His name was Kung, Seung-ho. Age had bent his body, but sharpened his presence. His silver hair was combed back with care. His face held the calm of someone who had survived decades of storms without apologizing for it. Every step he took reminded the room who he was. Behind him walked his son, Kong Dae-Haeon. Younger, sharper, known in the city as a man who did not forgive easily, a man whose name made doors open without knocking. Tonight, even he walked half a step behind his father, because power, in this family, flowed upward. At the far edge of the hall stood the waitress. Her name was Eliza Moore. She did not look important, that was the point. Her hair was tied back tight because loose strands slowed her down. Her apron was clean but faded. Her hands were steady from years of carrying more than they should. She had learned early how to disappear in plain sight. The catering manager had warned her before the doors opened. No talking, no eye contact, no mistakes. This family does not forgive them. Eliza nodded. She always nodded. She needed the money. Her mother's medical bills did not care about fear. Her younger brother's college fees did not wait for comfort. One wrong move could cost her the job she barely held together, so she worked quietly. She poured drinks without spilling. She cleared plates without sound. She kept her eyes low, even when guests spoke about her like she was furniture. One guest snapped his fingers to call her over. Another laughed at her accent when she said, "Excuse me." Someone made a joke about hiring standards. Eliza absorbed it all. Silence had been her shield for years, but when Kang Sung-ho entered the hall, something inside her shifted. She felt it before she saw him. The air changed, like a room holding its breath. Conversations softened, chairs straightened, even laughter turned careful. Eliza looked up, just long enough to see the old man's face, and her heart tightened, because she had seen that face before. Not here, not now. But long ago, in a small kitchen filled with steam and memories, her grandmother used to talk about a man like him. A man who walked with quiet danger. A man who carried honor like a wound. A man whose life had crossed hers in a time that was never spoken about fully. Eliza had been a child then. She remembered the smell of soup simmering on the stove, the sound of a language spoken softly, lovingly, with care for each syllable. A dialect older than television, older than this city. Her grandmother had taught her one thing above all else: words matter. Speak them right, or do not speak at all. Eliza pushed the memory down. This was not the place. This was not the time. The old man moved deeper into the hall. His gaze passed over guests without stopping, until it reached the staff, until it reached Eliza. For half a second, their eyes met. Eliza felt exposed, not afraid, seen. She lowered her gaze quickly and continued working. Then, it happened. The same guest who had mocked her earlier leaned back in his chair and spoke loudly, just enough for others to hear. Something about incompetence, something about people not knowing their place. A few guests smiled, others stayed silent. No one stopped him. Eliza felt the familiar heat rise in her chest. Not anger, shame mixed with fatigue. She kept her head down and moved to refill a glass. Behind her, Kang Sung-ho slowed. He had not heard the words clearly, but he had felt the tone. The old man stopped near the edge of the hall, his body turning slightly, his attention drifting away from the celebration. His son noticed instantly. Kong Dae-hyun followed his father's gaze and saw the waitress. He frowned, not because he cared, Because anything that caught his father's attention carried risk. Eliza finished pouring the drink and turned, only to find herself face to face with Kong Seung-ho. Up close, the weight of him pressed into the air. His eyes were sharp, calculating, old. She froze. The rules echoed in her head. Do not speak unless spoken to. The old man studied her posture, her hands, the way she stood straight without defiance. Then he spoke. You are not from here. It was not a question Elisa swallowed, answered simply. No. He nodded. You were taught. Well. Her chest tightened. Before she could stop herself, before fear could grab the words back, Eliza bowed slightly. Not deep, not submissive, respectful. Then she greeted him. She spoke in Korean, not the polished version taught in classes. Not the modern version used in business, but an old coastal dialect, shaped by fishermen and women who survived hard winters and harder lives. The effect was immediate. The hall froze. Forks stopped mid-air. Conversations died. A server froze halfway across the floor. The bodyguards stiffened, unsure if this was an insult or something else. Kong Dae-hyun's eyes widened because he recognized it too. Kong Sung-ho did not move. His face went pale. Then still, that greeting had not been spoken to him in over 40 years. His cane lowered slowly to the floor. Say it again, he said quietly. Eliza's heart pounded so hard she felt it in her throat. Every instinct told her she had crossed the line. She could not uncross, but she repeated that greeting. Clear, careful, exact. The old man closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. Only one person ever spoke to me like that, he said. Eliza felt tears burn behind her eyes. My grandmother taught me, she said softly. Kong Sung-ho inhaled. Slowly. Her name. Eliza hesitated. Then she spoke it. The name landed like a blow. The old man's shoulders sagged slightly, as if time itself had leaned on him. Across the hall, Kong Dae-hyun took a sharp step forward. Father. Kong Sung-ho raised one hand. Silence. And the room obeyed. The old man looked at Eliza as if seeing her fully for the first time. Her eyes, her bone structure, the quiet strength she carried without knowing it. You have her voice, he said. And her eyes. The words rippled through the room. Guests exchanged glances. Whispers threatened to rise but died before forming. Kong Dae-hyun stood rigid, his jaw tight. This is inappropriate, he said carefully. Kong Sung-ho turned his head slightly. No, he said. What is inappropriate is what happened to her. His gaze shifted toward the guest, who had mocked Eliza earlier. The guest shrank under the weight of that look. You disrespected her, the old man said, and everyone watched. No anger, no shouting. Just truth. The room felt heavier. Eliza stood still, hands trembling at her sides. Kong Sung-ho continued. Silence protects cruelty, more than power ever could. One of the guests tried to laugh it off, tried to say it was nothing serious. The old man did not look at him. In my house, he said, dignity is not optional. That sentence settled into the room, like a final word. Then came the shift. Kong Sung-ho turned to his son. Bring my lawyer. Kong Dae-hyun hesitated. Now, his father added. The lawyer arrived quickly. Papers were brought. Phones rang quietly. Guests watched, unsure if they were witnessing a family moment or a warning. Kong Sung-ho addressed the room. This young woman will not be treated as invisible. She will not be spoken to as lesser. He turned back to Eliza. Your grandmother saved my life when no one else would. I repaid others. I forgot her. His voice cracked. That was my failure. Eliza's knees weakened. She stayed upright through habit alone. The old man continued. I will correct it. He outlined his intentions calmly. Support for Eliza's education if she wanted it. Financial help for her family. Access to records her grandmother had sealed away. Not charity. Restitution. Kong Dae-hyun looked shaken. Father. This will change things. Kong Sung-ho nodded. It should. The guest who had insulted Eliza stood abruptly and bowed. Deep, desperate. I apologize, he said, voice shaking. Eliza looked at him. She did not smile. She did not speak. Her silence was enough. The apology was not for her comfort. It was for his survival. As the night ended, guests left quietly, humbled in ways they would not discuss later. Some nodded respectfully at Eliza. Some avoided her eyes entirely. The hall emptied. In a private room. Eliza sat across from Kong Sung-ho with a cup of warm tea. The smell reminded her of home. He spoke of her grandmother, of debts unpaid, of love hidden because fear felt safer. Daughter Liza listened, her heart aching with answers she had never asked for. Before she left, the old man spoke one final line. You walked into a room full of powerful people, and your voice stopped them all. Daughter Liza replied softly, I was taught that respect speaks louder than fear. He nodded, and tonight, respect won. Some strength does not raise its voice. Some power lives in quiet dignity, and sometimes a single sentence spoken with truth can stop a room full of fear.